Hello, Tech Pros, episode 258.
The first step towards becoming an entrepreneur is believing in yourself. It's really the belief. There's no difference between somebody that's just starting out as an entrepreneur and somebody that is running a Fortune 500 company.
Welcome to the podcast where we explore the opportunities, challenges, and anxieties that technical professionals and techpreneurs face when building their career, building their products, and building their business. This show is about the people behind technology and the mindsets and skill sets they developed that led to their success. You can learn more about this podcast and our guests at hellotechpros.com and about overcoming social anxiety at anxietynerd.com. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Avrohom Gottheil. Hey, Avrohom, how's it going?
Chad, it's a pleasure to be on. I'm doing phenomenal.
Man, are you excited as I am about Star Wars Rogue One?
Pretty excited. You know, I had Star Wars growing up, and it's pretty exciting to see where it's been and where it's going.
It's all very interesting. For the audience, they have all, I'm sure every single person who is listening to this episode today, no matter where, when or where or how they're listening to this episode, it's already out. Like Star Wars Rogue One is already out. It's a deal. But for us, this is launch day. And just to be clear to my audience, I may be a little bit jacked up on adrenaline and hyperness and anxiety, or not anxiety, a little bit of anxiety. Because, you know, that Phantom Menace kind of like hurt my childhood. It hurt my heart when that thing came out. But this is going to be a great episode, and this is going to be a fantastic conversation about business and technology and growth and starting your company and all the great things that Avrohom has done. And I want to hear about it, dude. So first of all, let me introduce you to the audience. Avrohom Gottheil helps businesses save time and money by ensuring they have the right technology in place to effectively optimize their business communications. Avrohom has been in the telecommunications industry for over 20 years, and businesses from all over the world has reached out to him for his expertise in assisting them with installing, managing, maintaining, and training them on their phone systems. This year, his company, SimiPlex Technologies, launched a new product portfolio which enables him to help businesses take their communications to the cloud. So really cool stuff, dude. What kind of businesses are we talking about? Like small startups, like scrappy, bootstrap company with one or two, like a solopreneur or a husband-wife team? Or are we talking about huge Fortune 500 companies?
Yeah, Chad, the real exciting thing about the cloud technology is that it can fit any kind of business. And, we have a solution for any type. So let's take the startups, the mom and pops that have a few phones that they need to connect to the world. So we got a nice SMB, small business product for them. For the larger businesses that have multiple locations, 20 to 100 people, we've got a solution for them as well. And the product scales up pretty large as well. I don't think we've gone up to the Fortune 500 businesses yet. Mm-hmm. We're scaling to there. But our target audience is somewhere between 20 to 200 people at a site. Cool,
man. So there has been a lot of changes in the tech space, right? In the telecommunications space. I remember when I was a kid, the jokes on all the television, right? The jokes on all the movies and stuff like that was, hey, someday we're going to have like video phones where you can see people and stuff. And now, I mean, gosh, like Skype and FaceTime video and even Snapchat, and everybody has like a video conferencing video, some sort of interactivity there. So what have you seen like on the corporate side, on the business side of just the telecommunications industry, real quick, of just what's the biggest changes that have really helped companies communicate better?
Yeah, Chad. So it's interesting. So you hit upon the ubiquity of video conferencing. So believe it or not, the traditional telecom space is actually catching up to those innovators or those disruptive innovators. And collaboration is the key word for today. So integrating your communications, your phones, your video conferencing, along with tools like Skype for Business, where you can text and see online presence all into one environment. That's been the biggest driver for commercial applications.
Cool, man. So what brought you to this area? So when you started your business, SimiPlex Technologies, we kind of want to hear your startup story. Well, let's hear about where you came from, why you created this business, and what you hope to do with it.
Yeah, so I actually have an interesting story. I'm sure we all do, right? um, so I started my career as a computer programmer. So I got
Nice.
a lot of things in common with many people in the audience. So I was always a techie. I was a real nerd. At age 13, I was reading books on C programming. I found that entertaining.
Yes. My brother from another mother, we have found each other.
And I always I always wanted to go into high tech. When I went to college, all my peers were majoring in undecided. They couldn't figure out what they wanted to do for the first year. I had my tracks all mapped out for me on day one. I knew I wanted to go into computer programming. I knew which classes I wanted to take to help me reach my goal. And I started my career. My first job was tech support, which I got bored of very quickly. Then I went into computer programming for about a year or so. Then I got another job at a company that manufactured voicemail systems, and they wanted an IVR system. So back in the day, in the late 1990s, the big innovation in telecom was this automated system that we all hate, or we all love to hate, which is when you call a company, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, please enter your account number, and you never talk to a live person.
Yep.
So I was given the pleasure of creating one of those systems. And, I always love a good challenge, and I had a blast doing that. And I just fell in love with telecom. So I was a programmer in the telecommunications field, and somehow I evolved and I got a job at Lucent Technologies, where back in the 1990s was doing really well. 1999, their stock was selling at $101 a share.
Yeah.
They did a 4-1 split. Those were the good days.
Yeah.
Lucent then became Avaya, which, as you know, they're in the news lately. They're going through a bit of a bankruptcy. So I was there for several years. I actually had several different jobs. First as a programmer for enterprise voicemail IVR applications. Then I migrated into more of a channel sales engineer, where I would work with channel partners. I actually loved doing that. And what's interesting is that what I loved about that, thinking back about how my jobs evolved and my career evolved, what I like doing the most is building rapport with people. And what that job at Avaya enabled me to do was to apply my technical skills, because I was the go-to guy for the technology, and combine that with my love and passion for building rapport with people, because I would support channel partners throughout the northeastern United States, and I had a blast doing it. I would travel all sorts of exciting places and meet with them and help them sell and help them succeed. And I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. Things changed at the company. There were a lot of layoffs. And I got my next opportunity. I was actually working at a cloud communications provider for a while. I went back to my programming roots, and I lasted about 4 months.
Uh-oh. What happened? Dude, what
Yeah.
happened?
So what happened was I was in a very different environment than I was used to. So I was part of a team, but I didn't have that same rapport that I enjoyed working for Avaya. It was more of an isolated job, and I found myself unhappy, and it took me a while to figure out why. So at first I was in denial. I just I felt something was wrong, but I just thought I was getting the jitters, or something. It was a new job, and who knows, give yourself some time. But you have to be self-aware, and this is actually something that as an entrepreneur I learned, that if you want to become successful, you need to learn self-awareness. You have to know what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And I was lacking that self-awareness. I was denying the fact that I didn't like what I was doing, because I thought, hey, I love programming. That was my first love. And what happened was, when you're in denial, your body's going to make sure that it sets you straight. And I started getting these weird symptoms. Like I started coming down with stomach aches out of nowhere, and then I couldn't eat. And I started coming down with acid reflux. I was wondering, what on earth is going on with me? And every day was something else. And I met with my boss, and I remember I'm pretty new at this job. And my boss looks me in the eye and goes, "You don't like working here." And I'm like,
Wow.
no, that's not true. I love it. And I thought I did. And he goes, "No, you don't like it here." And so this went on for a while. After about 4 months, I had a week vacation. It was during the Jewish holidays. I took off a week for the holidays. And I started really thinking about what I want to do with myself, because I knew I wasn't happy where I was. And I definitely couldn't sustain that because I kept getting sick. So I was thinking of going back to what I knew best at the time, which is working with Avaya channel partners, but doing it as a consultant. So I reached into my contact list and made a few phone calls and set up some meetings with some people that I felt we can do business together with. So I had a meeting set up for one Wednesday morning, October 11th, 2006. I remember that day because, and I'll tell you why in a minute, because about an hour before my scheduled meeting, my son decided to get born.
Yay. So, good for him.
Yeah. So at 5 a.m. that morning, my wife was like, it's time to go. So, we go to the hospital. My meeting was scheduled for noon that day, and of course 11 o'clock is when he was born. So after all that, I tell my wife, all right, you know what? I'm just going to cancel my meeting. And she goes, "Why are you going to do that?" And I said, "Well, you just had the baby and you need me here." And she goes, "Get out of here. I want to sleep."
Go to work.
Yeah, go to work.
I've done all my work. Now you go do your work. Let me get some peace and quiet around here.
Yeah, exactly. So I say to her, "Look, I want you to understand that I don't really have, if I leave my job, I don't have any income coming in. We just had a baby. I really don't know what's going to be. So if I'm successful at this meeting and we work something out, money's not going to come in right away, but I'm going to leave my job and we may be a little shaky financially.
Right.
You sure you want me to do that?" So she's lying there, on the table, and she tells me, "Go ahead. I believe in you. I know that you'll come through for us." So, with support like that, I went for my meeting, and of course it was successful, and I started my business, and that was 10 years ago, and here I am, still going strong. So that's how I got started.
Dude, that's first of all, let me interrupt you, because that's an amazing story of, just first of all, like you said, just being honest with yourself. I think so many times we as workers or entrepreneurs, we're kind of lying to ourselves about how bad it is. And because we don't want to disappoint our colleagues, our coworkers, our boss, our spouse, our family, right? And say, look, I'm a miserable person. I hate this job, or I hate this industry, or I'm not happy. It's not fulfilling, but I'm doing it because we need the money, right? I'm doing it because it's a good opportunity. I'm doing it because of whatever, the health benefits, the time off, the whatever it is, the location, the whatever. And so many times we as employees kind of lie to ourselves about, you know what, we are really, really not okay with this, but we'll be okay. We'll toughen up. We'll take one for the team because, you know, we think we have to. But in your case, you felt like, man, there's just health issues. There's lots of stuff going on. I got to look for something. And then when you did have the, you know, the opportunity, your wife was there and she said, dude, I believe in you. You can do this. You can figure it out. I trust you. We're going to be okay. And I really, really resonate with that message because my wife and I just had that conversation earlier this year in February of this year when, you know, after 3 layoffs from 3 different companies in 3 different industries, we had talked about me going out on my own and starting Hello Tech Pros and launching some apps and doing some podcasts and all this kind of stuff for a long time, many, many years. But there was just never the right time. And kind of like starting a baby, you know, having a baby, there's never a right time. There's only the time, you know. And so when she told me that, same thing as your wife, you know, I believe in you. You can do this. You have my support. If you don't do it now, then when are you going to do it? Yeah, completely changed things for me. So once your wife told you that and you said, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go start this company. And you went out and started it. Like what happened? Like, was it immediate success and tons of money started rolling in, or was it a struggle?
You know, it was a struggle. It was a struggle at first. It didn't take long though. I did, you know, it was a different time. I think the economy was doing a little bit better, or a lot better back then. This was 2006. I think until 2008 or 2009, it was a lot easier to do something like this. I was also well connected, so I did have an advantage in that respect.
Good.
Yeah. So it took about a month before this was October till December. So 6 weeks. It took about 6 weeks until I got my first consulting project. So October, November, December, January. By the end of January is when things started to come in. So it took a good 4 months, close to 4 months, where things were very, very shaky. In fact, it's funny. I woke up one morning a couple of weeks after I started out on my own. I woke up just feeling terrified, like, oh my gosh, I don't have a job. Like the realization hit me the first time in my life I'm out on my own. And, you know, I had a newborn baby. Child number 4. I've got 5 kids now, so this was my 4th. And I had a big responsibility, and I had no idea where the money's going to come from. But, you know, I was so confident in what I wanted to do that I sort of right-sized myself. You know, like I caught myself, I took a deep breath, and I said, it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. And I put in the effort. And, you know, for a while it did go very well. You know, I did have some challenges over the last couple of years, which caused me to re-examine, you know, the direction my business is going and what I want to do for the future. So I did launch a new product line, and that was because, again, that self-awareness, taking stock of the situation and realizing, you know, what is the direction of my industry? What is the direction where I want to go, and making a decision to move forward.
Yeah, I love that because there's so many pivot points, right? When you start your company, when you're thinking about starting your company, and then it's all hypothetical until you launch. And then once you launch, it's a live beast, right? It's kind of like raising a child. You have all these plans and you read all the books and you make all these notes. And then after the baby comes, they kind of have their own little personality and they kind of live in a new world that, baby two lives in from baby one. And so different experiences, different times, and we all have to adapt. So maybe take us through one or two of the big things that either the company had to adapt or maybe you personally had to adapt in order to make this business survive and thrive in this new world.
Yeah, yeah. So, I would say first and foremost, I like the way you worded that question because one thing we all need to understand, as the CEO of our business, it's really you. Okay, you as the CEO, you're the one running the show, so you're responsible for everything that goes on with the business. So it was really something that I had to improve or I should say grow within myself. I had to evolve myself in order to be able to evolve my business. And that was the biggest aha moment that I had back in January of 2016 when I was evaluating the state of my business. Like, that's when I realized, there's so much that needs to be done. And as I started to go through the process, okay, I want to make a change in the business. Why do I want to make a change? Because, the economy has affected me in a certain way. But it's not really about the economy. It's about you as a CEO being able to adapt to the changing market conditions and making sure that your business is constantly innovating. And I wasn't doing that. So I had to go through an evolution process where I educated myself. And one thing I just have to say, I'm a big advocate of coaching. And I actually had 3 coaches simultaneously helping me with 3 different areas because, man, we only have so much time on this world.
Right.
And time is the most valuable resource you'll ever have. You can't get that time back. So here, if you want to get anywhere in life and you don't know how, understand that there are people out there that can help you get there. So think of it as folding time. You're taking a shortcut here. You're paying somebody a few dollars. It may seem like a lot of money, but whatever you pay for your coach is going to teach you what it is you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. In my opinion, it's the cheapest investment you'll ever make in yourself. And that's what I did. I hired coaches. I said, look, guys, here's what I want to do with my business. I have no clue how to go about doing it. I'm so uneducated in where I want to take my business, but I have no choice because I made a commitment to myself, to my family, and to my company, and to my customers that I'm going to provide a service. Well, I've got to follow through on that.
Wow, that's very inspirational because it's actually really good timing for me because I have to hear this message because I have had coaches at the very beginning of launching this podcast, and I have been on the fence about whether or not to hire additional coaches in marketing and in sales. And those are areas where I feel like I need to step up and I need to do better and I need to learn, I need to grow. And I love what you said there about it's like folding time, right? You're absolutely right. Like, the time is the most precious commodity that we have, and we're not making any more, right? It's like it's a ticking time bomb and it's running out. And so if we want to get things done faster, if we want to get things done bigger, we have to go faster. We have to take some shortcuts, as you said. And so I love I love what you said there about having coaches can help you take those shortcuts, can fold that time, and be a really, in the grand scheme of things, a cheap investment in order to get yourself to the next level. And if you want to grow your business, you're going to have to grow yourself personally. So you had 3 coaches simultaneously. Were they all in different areas, or were they overlapping and kind of giving you the same advice? Like when you were going out looking for coaches, what were you looking for?
It's funny. I actually didn't even know what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I found them by accident, and it was a happy accident. Well, let me answer your first question though. First, they were in different areas of my life, but there was some overlap in all of them. So I got a business coach, sales coach. So the business coach was more focused on developing me as an entrepreneur, as well as providing me with guidance on what to do in order to be able to effectively execute on my plans. So that was the business coach. A sales coach to help me sell, because what I was doing for 9 years was consulting, and I'm a techie and I'm good when it comes to consulting. I'm also good at selling. I'm a natural salesperson. I used to be the closer at Avaya. They used to call me in to do all the executive briefings. So when they get the customers in, I would be the one to close the sale.
Nice.
But the one part that I was having difficulty with is breaking the ice. Like, how do you get to that first step where they're interested in speaking to you without sounding weird?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the sales coach helped me with. He helped me understand how to focus my perspective. And that's really all it is. Understanding, like, what it is, but you need to be able to see through your customers or your prospects' eyes and ears. You need to see what their world looks like. And once you understand that, then you align your thinking with your audience. And now talking is, really smooth, because you're saying the things that they need to hear. So rather than coming and begging them, oh, please buy my stuff, it's more of, hey, how can I help you? And, so that totally changed my perspective. And then also, there are so many, okay, so let's back up. One of the things that people in the motivational, I don't know if industry is the right word, talk about is creating balance in your life.
Right.
Right. So there's so many different facets to your life, and you could only focus on so many things. You can't be good, or you can't invest all your energy in everything. It just doesn't work. So I actually invested money in getting a relationship coach, because understand it, you're building a business, you're changing a business model, it's tough financial time, it's going to require a huge investment in time and effort and energy. And if you have a family, and there's all sorts of dynamics just from having a family.
Right.
So I got a relationship coach in order to help me with that, so that I can stay on top of my game and really apply the right energy to the right place. So, when I was looking for coaches, again, I was so uneducated. At first, I didn't even know what coaches were. I was looking to help myself. I was going to these self-help podcasts and listening to podcasts, which is what everybody listening to this one is doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, all of the audience, exactly. When I started listening to podcasts, entrepreneurship, technology, software development, right, is all because I wanted to improve some aspect of my life, of my business. So that's why I tuned in and started getting hooked on a variety of podcasts. And that's honestly, that's what we're trying to do today, is help our audience, right? I love talking to you. I love this conversation. But at the end of the day, we're trying to help our audience really understand what it takes to start a business and to grow it and to adapt and to change the things in their lives. What do they need to change in order to make their goals a reality?
Yeah, and you know that so resonates with me. Believe it or not, I actually have my own podcast, which I do the exact same thing, where my whole focus is on helping people. In fact, there's some podcasts out there that have a call to action. That it's more of a lead gen. My podcast does not have a call to action at all. It's all about what value can I provide to you because I want to help. And one thing about me, I went through so many struggles with growing my business. A lot of them were painful. There are times when there's just no money and it's scary. But I am so grateful for all the struggles, for all the difficulties that I went through and this is what helped me get through it, because I told myself like this: we all have a mission, we all have a purpose on earth. Why were we created? Why are we here? Well, we're here because we need to do something for others. We're here to help other people. You're not here to help yourself, because otherwise, you didn't have to be here in the first place. But everybody was given gifts and talents that they can use. Everybody's unique in their own special way. So when I was going through these challenges, and we're still going through certain challenges as well. I mean, being an entrepreneur is one big set of challenges, one after you're
yeah. They never end. They never end.
That's
It's
right.
like you solve one, and then you identify two more, and so okay, let's solve the next one, and now we identify two more, and it's just like a never ending list of tasks and challenges to overcome. But that's why you do it, because you love solving problems, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's about solving the problems. So, when I was down in the dumps in my, the worst possible disasters that I was struggling through, I'd always tell myself, one day I'm going to have an opportunity to help somebody by sharing my struggles and sharing how I got myself out of that struggle. And if I can help one person, then it would have been worth it. So, and I already forgot my train of thought where I was with that, but moving along, with the coaching. So, I was going through the self-help podcasts, and I started listening to different coaches, because you'll eventually find people that help people. And there were some of them that made an impression on me, and I actually showcased them on my podcast as well. So I had the privilege of interviewing them and giving back to the world what I've received, which is what we're all about.
Good deal. Great stuff, man. What's like the biggest thing that, maybe to close us out, the biggest thing that you've learned from your coaches, regardless of which coach it was, the biggest thing that had the biggest impact that your coaches have taught you?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing that my coach taught me that had a tremendous impact in my life is like this. He would tell me the following. He said, when you go to speak to people, understand one thing. The thing that you're selling, it's not your product, it's not your service, it's not your company. The thing that you're selling is you. Okay? You are unique. You have your talents. You have your skills. There's no one on earth that's like you, that does you better than you. So leverage your skills, leverage your talents, and sell that. Sell that. If you do that, you will become successful. And that really, it took a while for it to sink in. He had to say it a couple of times, in a couple different scenarios. But after a while, it sank in, and I think the first step towards becoming an entrepreneur is believing in yourself. It's really the belief. There's no difference between somebody that's just starting out as an entrepreneur and somebody that is running a Fortune 500 company. You're both human beings. You both start out the same way. The only difference is the belief that I can do it. I'm worth it. I deserve it, and I can make it happen. And if you believe in yourself, you will make it happen.
Awesome. Great stuff. That sounds like some fantastic final words of wisdom. Avrohom, before we go, can you share with us where we can find you and get a hold of you, where we can listen to your podcast and where we can check you out on your consulting business and everywhere else you're online?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm all over social media. The first place probably the best place to start out would be my website, which is www.SimiPlex, which is SIMIPLEX.com. Stands for Simplicity in a Complex World. We like simplifying people's problems. My podcast, we're already 14 episodes in. We're just about to launch on iTunes, so stay tuned for that. It's called Ask the CEO, and it's evolving. We have a couple of episodes of questions and answers about things like technology, and then also about life skills, just like we're talking about on this podcast. Mm-hmm. And then I've also interviewed world-class guests, exactly like what we're talking about their business and the process, the mindset, and the motivation behind that. So right now I've got it on YouTube, so you can look up my name on YouTube and you'll find it there. And within about 6 weeks, we should be launched on iTunes.
Fantastic. Well, by the time this episode goes out live, it probably is already out on iTunes or may already be out. Tell you what, we will link all of that up on the show notes page. So if our listeners go to hellotechpros.com/258, get access to the show notes page with all of the links to get access to all of the information, the SimiPlex website, the Ask the CEO podcast, and everything else. Avrohom, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value this startup story of, you know what, sometimes we need to adapt and we need to change and we need to take a good hard look at what we're good at and take a good hard look at maybe some of the things where we're challenged or where we're not as experienced, and we need to get that lessons learned via someone else's coaching instead of just trying it the hard way and trying it year after year after year to learn the hard way through experience. We can actually learn through someone else's coaching. So thank you for coming on the show and sharing that with us.
Thank you so much, Chad. I really appreciate being on the show.
You bet. Tech Pros, if you've thought about starting your own business, but you don't know where to begin, or you're really, really have been concerned about the technology, like, hey, I've got a proof of concept built on Ruby on Rails, but I really think that I need to, change to a Node.js backend and blah, blah. If those are the things you're thinking and you're not really thinking about your customer or how to market or how to get your product idea out there, in a MVP manner so that people can actually use it and play with it, I've got a free 7-day audio and email course for you. If you go to hellotechpros.com/start, you get access on how to start your first business. I've had a lot of feedback from my past subscribers who have gone through the course and actually have already started some podcasts and some businesses because of going through this course. So again, that's hellotechpros.com/start. You've been listening to Avrohom Gottheil, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/258. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If this episode helped you out in any way, please leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you thought. iTunes reviews helps our rankings, which helps us grow the Hello Tech Pros podcast to a broader audience, which helps more technical professionals and techpreneurs build their career, build their products, and build their businesses. If you are a subscriber and get repeat value out of the show, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. The information on this podcast is free to everyone, but I'm giving you the opportunity to pay for the value you get out of it, starting as little as $1 a month. Pledge your support today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor.